We all need to acknowledge that we're plugged into a system which feeds us information. And a lot of the time, the information we're being fed isn't the truth. There's an agenda behind it, and it's usually the agenda of somebody who is benefiting somewhere along the line of convincing people that things are the way they are, a certain way, and that's just the way it is. Now, none of us are completely unplugged. For any of us to think that we know it all, we don't. Okay? If we think that we've fully woken, we're fully awakened, that we can actually see the matrix for what it is, we can see through all of the bullshit, we can't. Okay? You are naive if you think you can see it all. You can't. We are still susceptible, and we are still um, conditioned by certain narratives and to believe certain things to be a certain way. But thankfully, people are beginning to wake up, and one of the reasons that they're beginning to wake up is because social media has come into play, and there are people exposing the truth that otherwise isn't exposed on mainstream media. What causes this? Now, if you, those of you that have seen The Matrix isn't an action film where people can dodge bullets. Okay, that's what a lot of people think it is. It's not. It's a complete metaphor for this journey of waking up in life. Okay, and there are people that have experienced that themselves, and there are people who can understand what the film's about and not see it for just a bullet dodging action film. Those of us that are partly awake in this regard, it's likely that in my case, I always knew to some extent that things weren't right, as it does say in the film. You know, have you ever kind of got the feeling that just things aren't just quite right, aren't as they should be? Yeah, I've always felt that, and I've always seen things go on in life that just, weren't right. But I checked myself from pursuing things, deferring to what was being said, always thinking, well, perhaps I'm missing something. Perhaps, I don't know enough about that. Just from what I do know, that seems wrong. But maybe they know things that I don't. So you like I say, you defer to people. But then a succession of things happen during your life, um, which form who you are and make you see things if you're that way minded, if you actually think about things and actually break things down and actually search for solutions rather than just accept. And the final straw effectively was Abu Dhabi 2021. But the difference with Abu Dhabi 2021 for me was that I knew I was right on this one. I knew for sure that there was nothing that I didn't know in terms of being right. Other occasions where I saw things going on that I felt, wow, this doesn't feel right. But maybe I don't know enough. Abu Dhabi, I knew enough. I knew it wasn't right, as everybody did. And let's be clear, everybody knew it wasn't right. There'll be people that will, as we see here, there will be people that will argue till the end of time that that's okay. Everybody knew that it wasn't right. Everybody knew that it wasn't right. But then the media fed them stories before it even happened, even to convince them to accept it. And then everything afterwards is just story after story after story to try and get people to accept it and validate it. None of them are authentic. Every single one of them I can disprove. Every single one of them I can disprove. And that was the final thing that made me realise what is going on. And you could then see the mechanics behind it all as well. Why would you do this? There's always a motive. Who's benefiting? What's the benefit? Where's the money? Where's the control? How do you do this? How do you convince people of this? How do you get away with it? All of these things. And their mechanisms translate to everything else in life, where corruption is taking place. Stuff that will affect your life, my life, everybody's life. And those same mechanisms are taking place, and there is no consequence for it because it's been constructed that way. So this is why I felt it's so important to campaign in the way I do, and so important to try to assist in making as many people as possible see it for what it truly is, in the hope that it wakes up more and more people. There's a lot of people that are switched off to politics. They feel that they're powerless to impact what goes on in this world, powerless to impact what goes on in their country, governmental decisions. We get one vote. You might be one of the most intelligent people in the world, in the country. Okay, you could be one of the most intelligent people, and you could have all of your reasons for voting a certain way to try and get the party or the people into power that you feel will make the best decisions for the country. Despite all of your knowledge, your vote is cancelled out by somebody that's just like, I like the colour blue. So you might vote red, they might vote blue. That's the two levels of intelligence voting against one and each other. One vote cancels, one vote out. How further forward are we? So it's vitally important that we still try to educate the thick people. I know it's frustrating. It's frustrating having the backlash constantly of people that don't want to accept it. But what's the solution? You know, we've got supposedly got rules that are enforceable, so we can't go and annihilate these people. Not that I'm proposing that, but I'm just saying, you know, we've got to try and use education as a way of waking people up, making them see that they're being lied to, making them see for themselves, look what is happening here, and you yourself is being used. You are being used by this system. They are using you by lying to you, convincing you of something, and then you will effectively go out and fight for their cause by doing what it is you're doing. It's a strange process. It's a strange process. How to go about doing that, I don't know. I'm trying, but obviously I'm not doing well enough. I thought it would be a situation which would be quite easy to explain to people, and they could see the significance of it, they could see the mechanics of it. But obviously I'm not doing it well enough, because I speak to some extremely intelligent people and I can't seem to get them to understand why it is that what I see going on here is so important, and why it could be a catalyst for change. And some people will effectively just look at you as if you're a bit of a fucking nutter. So it's a case of trying to, well, firstly, taking it on board that I need to get better. I need to improve the way I articulate what's going on, so that I can be effective in making people understand the significance of this. And that's what I'm going to try and do. There's no point in me moaning, saying, oh, what's the matter with this world? People don't understand. Well, it's down to someone to make them understand. So I'm going to keep trying. I try and do it in various different ways, and some of you will see that in some of my videos I just piss around at times. I completely mess around to try purposefully to mess with people's heads. But I can see from some of the comments that people don't even understand what I'm doing. Some do, and I know I can pick out the ones of you that get it, but there's many that don't get it. So therefore, I've got to check myself to think, actually, if the point of what you're trying to do is to try and educate people and to try to wake people up, make people see it for what it truly is, then you're not effective if it's not doing that. So I need to change my approach to some degree. There's an example that I want to give you, and that is, let me just switch screens. There's this notion of a construct. The entire last 5 laps of Abu Dhabi was a construct. The entire thing was, and the more and more you see it, the more and more you can see what they are doing. But I wish I could just make everybody see what they were doing, what F1 TV are doing, and what Sky Sports are doing to you before the fix even takes place. And the sad thing is, I didn't see what they were doing real time. Even I know that Martin Brundle has been talking bullshit about the safety car rules for a long period of time. So live, when they were saying it, I just accepted that as being the normal bullshit that they come out with, the normal hype job. But it's actually really contrived the way they do it. Really contrived. Now, if we just break this tiny section down, you've got to remember that what we think we're seeing is live footage. It's not live because it's constructed. You've got the F1 TV production company, and they have got access to 100 odd cameras and however many microphone feeds, and somebody is in charge of selecting which footage is selected to construct the main feed that is fed to us all. So they're seeing something going, yeah, that, next, cut to this, cut to that, cut to this, cut to that. You don't cut to live audio either. So the audio that's interjected, that is something that they've heard, and they then specifically say, oh yes, that's a good thing we can use, we will use that. Okay? The commentary, Martin Brundle, David Croft, the way that they can switch from one to the other, asking each other questions, validating one another, and even when they cut across one another, one is explaining something and the other one will cut across, oh, there's been an accident, so that's the sort of thing that you will see frequently. All right, if you go back and watch any Grand Prix, they'll be talking, there'll be the ambling conversation or commentary or analysis or whatever it's going on, and then it'll be, oh, and this has just happened. The other one will cut across them and interject like that. Again, these are the things that we take for granted as being normal. But just this section here, just listen to this, and then I'll rewind it and we'll listen again and I'll break it down. So just listen to this.
Yeah, I don't see any way Verstappen can do anything with that, but indeed, is the safety car coming in this lap? We think it could do. Is there any more debris to clear up? But we're halfway round already.
Race control are now saying lapped cars to overtake the safety car. So Norris and Alonso and Ocon and Leclerc and Vettel to overtake it.
And it's ending. Wow.
Mike.
So there's confusion, but the safety car is coming in at the end of this lap. So those back markers allowed to overtake the safety car, and that has now left Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen.
Michael, this isn't right.
It has left Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen side by side. Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen.
Michael, this.
Right, let me just rewind this. Remember that this is constructed, okay? Remember that this is constructed. And let me try and explain how it's constructed and why. So here we go.
I can do anything with that, but
Firstly, this is lap 57 of 58. They're still lapping behind the safety car. The lapped cars haven't been released. This is a safety car finish. That's what the rules of the sport are. There's no two ways about it. That is what the rules of the sport are. Because the rules are, you have to stay behind the safety car, everybody does, until the track is clear and safe. If cars have been lapped, once the track is clear and safe, the cars that have been lapped are allowed to pass. They're sent off past the safety car and the leader, released effectively, and then that safety car stays out on track for a further lap at least, with which to attempt to give the opportunity for those released cars the chance of making it around to the back of the pack and linking back up. That is the purpose. The way that the rules are written is that it says any cars which have been lapped by the leader will be required to pass the safety car. The safety car will return to the pits at the end of the following lap. Okay. Again, we want to get people trying to argue the purpose, the meaning. They are what they are. It's as simple. I'm not going to get into arguments with people that just try to present something that's just wrong. So that's the purpose. It's to restore fairness. The safety car, once it's introduced into a race, it nullifies the race for everybody. And the only way you can go racing again is to achieve the correct race order and get rid of all the advantages that have been built up. And those regulations are written the way they are to accomplish that. It's just what it is. You know, there's no argument about that, but that's what it is. But you've got at this point in time, when you know for sure now that on lap 57, those lapped cars have not been released, this is a safety car finish. You've got Martin Brundle saying this.
indeed, is the safety car coming in this lap? We think it should do, could do.
Okay, it can't. It really can't. We think it should do, could do, and it completely can't. Because you've not carried out the procedure. And the other thing is, you cannot go racing with the lapped cars in situ. What we have now is a situation where, before the crash took place, this orange dot at the front, Lando Norris, because actually he has just slipped past Hamilton now, they have been released and there's just the lag. But he was just behind Hamilton. He was closer to this grey dot that's right at the back here, Pierre Gasly, up at turn 6. Norris was closer to him. So Gasly is in 6th position, Norris is in 7th. 7th position was closer to 6th than 2nd was to 1st. And you can't let a crash impact people's races in this way. So that's the rules of the sport, and that's why they are what they are. So Martin Brundle saying, we think it could do, should do. We're getting those lapped cars out of the way. They'll call them back markers. They call them back markers. What are you calling 7th place a back marker? There's 14 cars left in the race. Why are you calling 7th a back marker? See, none of it makes sense from their perspective. But this is, again, something that's normalised in your head. All right? They make it seem normal.
Is there any more debris to clear up?
That is this notion of disorientating you. But indeed, is the safety car coming in this lap? We think it could do, should do. Indeed, is there any more debris to clear up? Right, you've just asked that. Now, almost a lap before, we've witnessed as these cars passed this point of the track, where I'm trying to wave my cursor, between turn 14 and turn 15, we saw the camera footage of that, and we saw the marshals dressed in their orange overalls hurtling back over the safety barrier, having cleaned the track. And Martin Brundle at this point in time is saying, asking the question, putting it in there, the confusion, is there any more debris to clear up? See, that's not authentic. But what he's doing, he's getting people to be disorientated. Oh, what's going on here? We think we don't know. We don't know whether they're going to restart the race or not. We don't know whether they're going to restart the race with the lapped cars in situ, which you're not allowed to do. Okay, you have to release them and restore the right order. We don't know if there's any more debris on the track. We don't know what's going to happen here. Okay, and then we get the cross interjection of the other commentator.
But we're halfway round already.
Race control are now saying lapped cars to overtake the safety car.
Okay, and he says it with, oh, now the race director's saying this. Okay, there's 8 lapped cars. Right, there's 8 lapped cars. Now we know who they are because the first car that had been lapped, the car that was directly behind Lewis Hamilton was Norris in 7th position. So if you know that Norris has been lapped, okay, every car that's behind Norris has also been lapped. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, down to Mick Schumacher. 8 cars have been lapped. We know that. We know that those all have to be released. It's never been done differently to that. We know that. And this is how they describe it. This is how the commentators that are commentating on it describe it.
So Norris and Alonso and Ocon and Leclerc and Vettel to
And it's
overtake.
ending.
And before we complete the list of 8, we get the other commentator cutting across them with the dramatic news. Okay? That again disorientates you. It makes you forget about the other 3. Okay? Your focus is now drawn to, oh, what's happening now? What's happening now? It's ending. It's ending. What's ending?
And it's ending. Wow.
Michael. And it's ending. And it's ending. Wow. Straight away from Martin Brundle saying, and it's ending. And it's ending. Wow. We cut to Toto Wolff going, Michael. That's the director of F1 TV having got queued up, right? Queued up, ready to play this recording of Toto Wolff saying, Michael. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? You know it's wrong, but you've got it queued up. So what you're doing, you're giving a nod to the fans that know it's wrong by acknowledging that it's wrong, but you're still pushing through with a narrative. You see, you have to do that. You have to acknowledge this notion of both sides, because if you don't, then people can start seeing through it. But if you present almost this version of faux balance, this pretend version that you are, oh, this Red Bull are saying this, but Mercedes are saying this. Oh, what do you think it could be here? Right? They're presenting this fiction, a complete narrative of pretend balance. But where have they got that message from? They've selected that, and they've purposely interjected that. And now listen on from that.
So there's confusion, but the
What's confusing? You see, again, you're telling the global audience, oh, there's confusion. See, we're all confused by this. Well, we're not confused by it because it's wrong. You're projecting it and convincing everybody that they need to be confused. But that it's wrong.
safety car is coming in at the end of this lap. So those back markers allowed to...
Those back markers. The guy in 7th place. Those back markers.
Overtake the safety car, and that has now left Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen.
Michael, this isn't right.
This has left Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen, and then they cut in with that. Michael, this isn't right. It's a construct. They're picking these messages out to play to you. Okay? They're making that up. They're specifically chosen. Why would they do that? It is just a nod to acknowledging that, oh, some fans are going to know that this isn't right. But by broadcasting somebody saying this isn't right, we'll acknowledge that, but then we'll come back with the validation that will somehow then validate it. Because you have to address it like that. Because if you don't address it like that, it will be more obvious to people. This way of doing it, you make it seem like there's a reasoned argument on both sides, and therefore this is the valid version of it. It's part of what they do. And you've got to start understanding it for that and for what it actually is like that. So there'll be people that will see other things in life with that level of clarity. This is how I see what is going on here. And several of you will as well. But it's trying to wake people up in this world to the fact that this same construct happens in so many other things, whereby you are conditioned to believe things to be a certain way, to have to be a certain way. Okay, decisions that have been made that impact your life, things that impact your wages, the cost of living, the things that you have to spend your money on, just to survive, just to live. It'll be told to you that it's because of this, it's because of that, it's because it's somebody's construct. It is somebody's construct. So much of it does not have to be that way. Anyway, that will do for this one. And I will go through those last 5 laps using the footage with one of these ones where I'll have to get you to play it at half speed, for example. So look out for that one coming soon. Thank you for your time.